Welcome to Science Access. In today's class, we'll be talking about the characteristics of living things, and we're following this outline. What is biology? What is a living thing? What is a non-living thing? And the characteristics of living things, or the features that an organism needs to have for you to refer to it as a living thing. What is biology? Biology is the study of life or the study of living things. As you are aware, the word biology comes from the word bios, which means life, and logos, which means study. So biology is simply the study of living things. The word living means having life, while thing means an entity or body. A living thing refers to any organism or a form of life that possesses the features of life or being alive. Living things are made up of cells, and their characteristics include movement, respiration, nutrition, irritability or sensitivity, growth, excretion, and reproduction, what we popularly call Mr. Ninja. Now, it should be noted that other characteristics such as homeostasis as well as adaptability or adaptation are actually currently being included as the characteristics of living things. We actually have others, but we'll just go with these basic characteristics. Let's start with the first, movement. Movement is simply the change in position of an organism from one place to another. The process of the individual above changing the position or the body part from one place to another is actually called movement. It should be noted that plants actually exhibit limited movement, while some animals exhibit unlimited movement, though we have some sensor animals. These sensor animals, or animals that do not move in response to stimulus in some cases. The second characteristics of living things is respiration, which is a biochemical process that breaks down carbohydrates within the cells of living organisms to produce energy in the form of ATP, and metabolic waste product is being released. There are actually two types of respiration, the aerobic respiration and the anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is using oxygen to break down glucose to produce energy, while carbon dioxide and water is given out as metabolic waste. As you can see from the diagram, glucose, which is C6H12O2, is catabolized using oxygen to produce energy, and carbon dioxide and water is given out as waste. The different processes or cycles involved in aerobic respiration include glycolysis, Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, and electron transport chain. Different videos will be produced to explain these processes. Anaerobic respiration is the breakdown of carbohydrates in the body or cell of living organism without the use of oxygen to release energy. Anaerobic process synthesizes or produces energy when there is either no oxygen or inadequate oxygen delivery to tissues or cells of the body. There are two main types of anaerobic respiration, which are lactic acid fermentation and alcoholic fermentation. In lactic acid fermentation, carbohydrate is reduced to lactic acid and energy is released in this process. This actually occurs in some bacteria as well as in the muscles of humans when you are carrying out rigorous exercise. While in alcoholic fermentation, carbohydrates is reduced to alcohol and carbon dioxide while energy is produced or released in the process. This actually occurs in yeast. This process is useful in the production of alcoholic drink. The next characteristics we are going to talk about is nutrition, which is the process in which an organism takes in food and utilizes the food to produce or provide energy and other essential nutrients needed for the body to sustain life and also reproduce. Anything you take into your body that provide energy and the biomolecules needed by your body to sustain life is called nutrients. There are two types of nutrition, which is the autotrophic mode of nutrition and the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In the autotrophic mode of nutrition, organisms make their own food using simple inorganic material. There are two types of autotrophic mode of nutrition. photosynthetic mode of nutrition or photosynthesis and chemosynthetic mode of nutrition or simply chemosynthesis. In the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, the organism actually depend directly or indirectly on the producer or on the autotroph for their food. For example, the plants are actually the producer, they make their own food through photosynthesis, while the animals cannot actually make their food, so they depend on the plant, they feed on the plant. Not all animals actually depend directly on the plant, some depend indirectly on the plant. For example, herbivores feed on plants, while carnivores cannot feed on plants but feed on herbivores which depend on plants. So they are not depending directly on plants, they are actually depending indirectly on the producers or plants. Let's explain photosynthetic and chemosynthetic mode of nutrition. In photosynthetic mode of nutrition, organism uses simple inorganic material like water and carbon dioxide to make their own food using sunlight energy absorbed by chlorophyll. While in chemosynthetic mode of nutrition, organism uses this inorganic material to make their own food, in this case using chemical energy. The next characteristic of living things is sensitivity or irritability. Irritability is the ability of an organism to respond to stimuli which can be external or internal. For example, you accidentally put your hand on a nail, sharp object, and you withdrew your hand. The piercing your hand on the sharp object is a stimuli, and your withdrawal of hand is actually a response. So your ability to respond to this stimuli is actually called sensitivity or irritability. There are different kinds of responses, and they include tropism, tactic movement or taxis, and nastic movement. Let's talk about tropism. The word tropism originated from the Greek word tropos, which means to turn or turning. So tropism is the ability of an organism, usually plants, to turn or move in response to a stimuli. A stimuli is any signal or change in the environment. In tropism, the response is dependent on the direction of the stimuli. If the organism moves towards the stimuli, it's called positive tropism. But if the organism moves away from the stimuli, it is called negative tropism. There are different kinds of tropism, usually named after the stimuli they respond to. For example, we have the phototropism, geotropism, and all that. We'll take them one after the other. Phototropism is the response of an organism towards the stimuli of light. If the organism is moving towards the stimuli of light, it's called positive phototropism, as you can see from the diagram. But if it's moving away, it's called negative phototropism. Geotropism is the response of plant part towards the stimuli of gravity. As you can see, the root is positively geotropic because gravity moves downward, while the shoot is negatively geotropic because the shoot moves upward. Thigmotropism is when plants respond to the stimuli of touch. As you can see in some plants, once they touch a particular stick or wood, they coil around it. This is actually a response to the stimuli of touch. Plant response towards water is called hydrotropism. As you can see, the root is moving towards the stimuli of water and is positively hydrotropic. The response of plant towards chemical is called chemotropism. The second kind of response in organism is the tactic movement or taxis, which is the movement of an organism, usually animal, the whole animal, in response to a stimuli. Taxis is different from tropism. Tropism is just a turning response or usually growth towards or away from a stimuli, while taxis actually involve the whole organism either moving away or towards a particular stimuli. Taxis can also be classified according to the stimuli which is being responded to, such as phototaxis, response of the whole animal towards the stimuli of light; chemotaxis, response of the whole animal towards the stimuli of chemical; thermotaxis, towards the stimuli of temperature; hydrotaxis, towards the stimuli of water. It can also be positive taxis, moving towards the stimuli, or negative taxis, moving away from the stimuli, just like in the case of tropism. Do the assignment being displayed on the screen and send your answers to biologyaccess@gmail.com. The last kind of response in living organism is the nastic movement, which is the non-directional response or movement of plant part in response to stimuli. Take note that the response is non-directional. As you can see from the diagram, the leaves of the plant before being touched was opened, and in response to the touch, there is a non-directional closure of the leaf of the plant. Also do the assignment being displayed on your screen and send the answer to biologyaccess@gmail.com. The next characteristics on our list is growth. Growth is the increase in cell size and number that take place during the life history of an organism due to the addition of new protoplasmic material, that means new cell material, and in some cases growth is due to addition of cells, usually through cell division. From the image being displayed on the screen, you can see growth from the infant stage and gradually towards the mature stage. Excretion, as a sixth characteristic, is the removal of metabolic waste products from the body of an organism. This metabolic waste, if left in the body, can harm the human or the organism body or interfere with the normal functioning of the body. What do you understand by the term metabolism? This is the total biochemical reaction that occur in the body in order to maintain the living condition of the cell. Now, metabolism can involve building smaller molecules into larger molecules, what we call the anabolism, the building up process, or breaking down of large molecule into smaller molecule, what we call the catabolism. Example of anabolism include photosynthesis, where smaller molecule is used to build carbohydrates, or even glycogenesis, where glucose, a smaller molecule, is used to build glycogen. One example of catabolism is glycolysis. The primary excretory products in plant are carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen. Carbon dioxide and water is a byproduct or a waste product of respiration, while oxygen is a waste product of photosynthesis. While the primary excretory products in animals are actually carbon dioxide, water, and nitrogenous waste. While carbon dioxide and water is actually a waste product of respiration, and nitrogenous waste is a waste generated during protein breakdown. The last characteristics that we are going to discuss in this lecture is reproduction, which is the biological process by which an organism, termed the parent, which can be one or two, produces offspring which are genetically similar to them. Take note that reproduction can be carried out by two organisms or one organism depending on the type of reproduction. We actually have two types of reproduction. We have the asexual reproduction and we have the sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction does not involve the fusion of gametes or change the chromosome number. It's a kind of reproduction that is actually carried out by a single parent, while sexual reproduction involves the production of offspring by the combination of genetic material from two individuals of different sexes. From human perspective, you can see male individual can mate with female individual, combining genetic material to produce offspring. This is the end of this lecture. Please subscribe to support this channel. Thank you.